WHIP, Philadelphia's #1 college radio station. Today, we have an awesome guest. Really appreciate his time. I've been listening to this guy for a long time. His name is Jon Johnson. He was on 610 WIP. Now he's on 94 WIP. He's also at KYW 1060 doing sports updates and sports news. And most importantly, he's a Temple grad. Jon, how are you today? Thanks for a few minutes.
Oh, man, no problem at all. I'm glad to be on.
Yeah, good to have you. Let's kick things right off. Given Temple, they had a tough loss in Houston. They faced the quarterback Greg White, who just ran all over him. What?
Greg Ward Jr.
What? Greg Ward. I'm mixing up my Wards and Whites. Anyway, that guy's really good. Temple's really struggled against running quarterbacks this season against like the likes of USF's and Notre Dame. What are your impressions of this Temple team so far this season? I mean, obviously they've had some tough contests, but you got to give them a lot of credit.
I mean, yeah. And all the credit starts and ends with Matt Rule from when he first took over, and they were 2-10 and 6-6, and now going to play in the Boca Raton Bowl on the 22nd. I mean, it's a shame they kind of got shafted on the Boca Raton Bowl, but I mean, in my lifetime, this is the greatest Temple season that I've ever seen, and of course they have to cap it off with a win, on the 22nd. But it's a beautiful thing. It's a shame they didn't win the AAC championship game, but it is what it is. Matt Rule's coming back for many years to come, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it is a shame. But, hey, they're playing in a great bowl game down in Boca. We all get to go visit Grandma and see Temple play. You mentioned Matt Rule. Obviously, he's come back. That's enormous for this program. I mean, Temple has long waited for a guy like not only with the recruiting prowess and coaching ability of Matt Rule, but somebody who's actually going to plant his feet here. What do you see in the future for Matt Rule in this Temple program?
Right now, it's nothing but positives. I mean, it was scary for everybody because everybody, even though we wanted Matt Rule to come back, we assumed that he would leave elsewhere. I mean, how do you pass up the temptation of other universities who have, we're all Temple students or Temple grads, whatever you may be. We love our university, but the facilities aren't what other programs could offer. But for him to come back, and I'm glad that the Board of Trustees and everybody involved in Temple offered him, I assume, what he wanted and then some, along with the promises of other facilities. I mean, because Temple had to eliminate several sports programs in order to keep basketball and football. So give the guy whatever you can possibly give him to keep him here, and they did it. So, I mean, it's a beautiful thing. Recruiting is going to continue. Everybody wants to play for Matt Rule now. I mean, he's a great coach, great motivator, great person. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, he's a great all-around person, and it's great to see him because he really wants it. He really wants to be here, and that's an admirable trait out of your coach. Now, you mentioned recruiting. Obviously, he's been great. A guy named Tyler Matakevich. You may have heard of him. Won the Bronco Nagurski Award. He is now in exceptional company with the likes of Luke Kuechly, Manti Te'o, and Ndamukong Suh, Glenn Dorsey, James Laurinaitis, Elvis Dumerville, Champ Bailey, among others. I mean, just a phenomenal season and career for Tyler Matakevich. He's not away from breaking Steve Conjar's tackles record. Now, Jon, where do you see this guy going in the draft?
Oh, man, that's tough. I mean, having that award and all, if I had to guess, it's still kind of early. If he's really fortunate, late first round, but I would say without question in the second round, if not late first. Of course, I'd love for him to be an Eagle, wouldn't we all? But, from what we've seen, he's got a heck of an NFL career ahead of him.
Yeah, he's a special player. I mean, he's a once-in-a-lifetime talent. I mean, you've watched Temple football for a bunch of years now. Have you seen, what linebacker in college has reminded you of Tyler Matakevich?
Oh, man, that is a tough one. I can't think of one off the top of my head. He's so unique. I mean, he's the quarterback of their defense. I mean, the vision he has of the field, seeing plays before they happen, as you mentioned, he is I don't want to say once in a generation because you're really pigeonholing yourself by saying that, but, I mean, he's certainly really, really special. I'm trying to think of somebody off the top of my head college-wise. I mean, who does he remind you of?
College-wise, it's tough. Who was the guy at Penn State? Help me out here, fellas.
Right now?
No, he was there. Shoot. Yeah, I got nothing.
Who in the NFL? What,
He was on the Bills for a while.
Who in the NFL does he remind you of?
He's one of their faster running backs. Honestly, a smaller Michael Kendricks. Like, he just seems to be such a great fit in a Philadelphia offense.
He does. I mean,
defense. Yeah.
I mean, no, he's that's a good point. He does. He has similar traits to Michael Kendricks. I mean, I think his vision of the field is a heck of a lot better than Kendricks' vision. But that's a whole other subject. Has to do with the Eagles and their scheme and all. But yeah,
right.
Either way, he's got a future ahead of him.
Yeah, it's special. It's special.
Mm-hmm.
Let's change gears here from one football team to another. I mean, last week around this time, just everybody was just dejected. You know, the energy was just sapped out of this city. And then all of a sudden, the Eagles go into Foxborough and do the improbable and take down the Patriots, something that Andy Reid never could do, by the way. And the Cowboys beat the Redskins. What do you know? The Eagles are in a three-way tie for first place.
It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. I mean, everybody had the Eagles dead and buried before Sunday at 4:25, and it's Sunday night at 7:30. Everybody, they may win out now. I'm like, come on, let's settle down. Let's give it 24 hours. Let it settle in. Enjoy the moment. I mean, the NFC East is just so god awful. But you take advantage of the situation when it presents itself, and when it comes to the Eagles on Sunday, they did just that. I mean, the Patriots were short a ton of players due to injury. Brady was working with guys that were just coming off the scrap heap that he had no chemistry with, and it showed. In addition to that, I mean, your special teams, between a block punt return for a touchdown and, of course, Darren Sproles, his 80-some-yard punt return for a touchdown, and then Tom Brady throwing.
John?
I mean, the odds of everything happening all in one game, it's like you're better off being struck by lightning. The odds are so much better. But you take advantage of them when it happens, and of course the guys in the locker room are sky high right now, and their confidence is great, and moving forward, headed into the Bills game on Sunday. But I'm not buying in yet. I want to sit back. I want to observe. If they get back to 500, then I'll show some excitement.
I agree, and I'm not quite buying in yet. I mean, they've had some very easy competitions, very tough competition. I mean, this is great, but you can almost call it an anomaly beating the Patriots. One silver lining I do want to take away is they did it with Bradford, and the needle has been so slowly moving, but it has been moving in the upward direction in terms of Sam Bradford. Maybe he's just shaking off an amount of rust that none of us can really comprehend because he's missed so much time over the past 5 years. Who knows? But I'm not buying in yet. I presume my co-host David Hennessey is not buying in yet. Quite yet. He's an Eagles fan. We were talking just before we had you, John, about schedules for teams in the NFC East. Now, the Redskins presumably are going to lose to Chicago, lose to Buffalo, lose to Philadelphia, and presumably beat Dallas. That's what we came up with.
Okay.
So that would essentially get them out of the picture. But let's go to the Eagles schedule now. They have a tough test this Sunday at home against the Bills. LaShawn McCoy returns. Wow, do I miss LaShawn McCoy. But, Chip the GM getting in the way of Chip the coach. But that's we could go on for all the way till tomorrow about that. But what do you think the odds are of the Eagles getting the victory this Sunday?
I wish I knew your guess is as good as mine. Everybody's up in the air because nobody expected them to do what they did to New England. But the one huge positive to take beyond the win was Chip Kelly finally benching guys. He did Miles Austin, then eventually released him, and benching DeMarco Murray, who he wasn't helping the offense. So Kenyon Barner comes in, and he obviously used Sproles a lot more, and now DeMarco Murray's barking at the owner about the head coach, which isn't a good thing on his part. But the fact that Chip isn't being 100% stubborn about his guys that he brought in, and is transitioning and putting guys in that are helping the offense, it gives you the hope that maybe they'll get back on track. But we still have to remember they are 5-7, despite a near impossible win and a convincing win, really, over New England.
Yeah,
it's still a huge question mark up in the air. You need the consistency. They are 5-7.
Yeah, they are 5-7. Who would have thought going into the season they would be 5-7? They need to be more consistent, and I think having stability at the quarterback position will send that trend in the right direction. We're talking with Jon Johnson. He's at a 94 WIP and KYW 1060 AM. He's also a Temple grad. Again, thank him. We thank him so much for his time today. John, we're still talking Eagles. So we didn't get an answer out of you out of the Bills. Did they beat the Bills this weekend?
All right. The Eagles fan in me says they will eke out a win.
Right.
God. I'm going to say no. No. The analyst in me is going to say no because I still need the consistency out of the offensive line, and if there's one thing Rex Ryan likes to do is blitz a lot, so he's going to be blitzing a heck of a lot to test Bradford, and that's going to be the ultimate test for them. If they survive this and beat the Bills, it'll give you a lot of hope. And despite them, if they pull out a win, being 6-7 in a horrific division, there's always the hope that they are turning a quarter as what they were a week ago, and they were dead and buried, and you're just waiting to see if Chip Kelly's going to get canned or not. Yeah.
They didn't really play against solid weapons though against the Patriots. You mentioned that earlier. They had Amendola, LaFell for a little bit, but against the Bills, you're facing LaShawn McCoy, and I'm very worried about Sammy Watkins.
Yeah,
I get where you're coming from, but I'm gonna give him a W. Just because I'm giving him a W. It's gonna be close, like you said. But let's go around the room real fast, fellas. What do you think?
I think that, honestly, what's not getting talked about enough, Stephon Gilmore, arguably the best or second best defensive back in the NFL, is likely not going to play. So that really changes up a lot, I think. So I'm thinking a Birds W here.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I got to go Bills on this one. I just think Rex Ryan's his blitz schemes, he's always going to send you exotic blitz packages. I just don't think the Eagles offensive line is they played well, I thought, last game against the Patriots, but I just don't think they have the manpower to really handle Rex Ryan's blitzes, especially because Ryan will send full both his safeties at the same time. He'll come down, he'll show blitz, but then drop back into coverage. So I don't know. It's going to be more of the defensive, not defensive, but offensive struggles for the Eagles, I think, in this game. Right. So I got the Bills.
Just to piggyback off you real fast, you mentioned how the blitz package is going to be great, or presumably great. If Chip Kelly's offense works, John, presumably that would make that blitz very tired, and that would, you get this snowball effect, and things would work in the Eagles' favor, no?
Mm-hmm. You would hope. I mean, the thing is, with the Chip Kelly being the offensive guru, we had once, we're now, 12 games into the season, the question mark has always been about the offense, and he's the offensive guru. And although they played better against New England, and Bradford was more consistent, and he looked a lot more comfortable and delivered the ball right where it needed to be at times. They put up 14 points. I need a full 4 quarters from this offense before I feel any type of confidence from them whatsoever. And the thing with Bradford is, if you accept that he is what he is, I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. He's definitely not the guy for the future, I don't think.
No.
And he's, all about checkdowns. If his initial target isn't there, he dumps it 5 yards to the left or to the right of him to a running back or the closest tight end. So I've yet to see enough for him to make me feel confident in him. I mean, anything over 25 yards, forget it. He can't do that either. So unless he proves something in these final couple games, I'm ready to move on from him. But I don't want to demean him because, he's put in a situation that's not his doing. He was traded here. All this pressure is not his fault. It's on the head coach / GM.
Yeah, it's a strange dynamic because, again, Chip Kelly needs a quarterback, first and foremost. And, it's frustrating because the first 2 years of Chip's tenure, he had the offense, but didn't really have the defense. And this year, Jordan Hicks' injury aside, Chip Kelly finally gets the defense, and he can't get the offense to click. If he just gets everything to click all at the same time, it'd be all the more special. But, yeah, John, again, we said it before. I'll say it again. Chip the GM just continues to get in the way of Chip the coach, and I don't know how he sleeps at night, frankly. It's a tough job.
It was trial by fire. He cornered Jeffrey Lurie, and got the ultimate power without the experience, and he's learning by making mistakes, and he's making us all suffer through it. Regardless, unless they win out suddenly and win a playoff game, it's going to be a really interesting conversation between he and Lurie in the offseason as to who's going to be general manager moving forward. I imagine if Laurie even attempts to take away the power, Chip will walk. But Laurie's a patient guy. I mean, Andy Reid was here 14 years, 4 years longer than he should have been, because Laurie is so loyal to his head coach. So he's probably going to do the same with Chip.
He is a loyal man. We've seen that over the years. Andy Reid was here for 14 years. We're wrapping up with 94 WIP and KYW 1060's Jon Johnson.
John, it's Dave here again. I just have a question regarding kind of the optimism around the Eagles. I know that you're not really buying in yet, and neither am I necessarily, but I'm also not saying that it's impossible. I think there's been a lot of pessimism around this team, and for good reason. But you can look in history, recent history, as much as 7 years ago, and you can see teams that can excel in a bad division. The Cardinals, they are rated to have being in the worst division in the history of sports, professional sports, in 2008. And they went, I think, 9-7 or 8-8 that year. And, I mean, all of us Eagles fans remember they beat us in the NFC Championship to head to the Super Bowl. So what do you think the actual shot of the Eagles gaining momentum and winning several playoff games is? I think it's probably 5%, but it's there. I think there's a shot.
I mean, if I had to put a percentage on it, I would put it at like 2, only because.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I would agree with you. I would say 5, only because the NFL this year is so average and so below average. There's only a handful of really good teams, and then there's everybody else. So I suppose anything's possible. But with the Cardinals in 2008, there's one thing you have to keep in mind: Kurt Warner. Mm-hmm. Kurt Warner made the combination of Warner to Fitzgerald, but Warner made all the difference. We certainly don't have Kurt Warner on our team. We have a quarterback who's average, maybe slightly above, but he's not going to throw vertically down the field to threaten any good defense, which is what you're going to see not only this Sunday, but when they play Arizona next Sunday night. That's where you're going to see the true test of Sam Bradford.
We're wrapping up here with Jon Johnson. John, I want to thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Anytime.
Happy to have you. All right, take care, John. That was Jon Johnson. He's at 94 WIP and KYW 1060. He's also a Temple grad. Great to have him on today. That was a lot of fun, fellas, I got to say, because I've been listening to Jon Johnson for a long time. I remember him on 610 WIP, Dave, you know.
Oh, so do I, of course.
And he was doing the updates. It's cool. This is a fun little gig we got here at Temple University.
It is.
But on that note, we're going to take a quick break here at WHIP, Philadelphia's #1 college radio station.